Hey folks, this is Nick Wolf. For those of you that don't know me, I am the Director of FSB Career Services. As well, I'm your dedicated career coach. I'm here to talk to you today about the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, a little bit about my background. If you don't know me, I have a background in human resources. I'm actually a Myers-Briggs certified coach. I've been with the university now for 11 years and have used the Myers-Briggs extensively in my work here. Through this program, you're going to have an opportunity to participate in an MBTI assessment. And if you so choose, potentially could get coaching, but this will definitely be a part of an integral part of your program. So this is going to be the first of two videos. The first video I'm going to use just to introduce the Myers-Briggs, give you a little bit of background history of it, explain it a little bit to you. And then the second video, I'll go over more in detail what the Myers-Briggs, what those letters mean, and a little bit more about potentially who you are. And so let's get started. So first of all, what's the Myers-Briggs about? What are the objectives of you taking the Myers-Briggs? First and foremost, in my opinion, it's about increasing self-awareness. The better you understand yourself, the better you will be able to understand others, as well as understand, what your strengths are, what your limitations are. And then when you're building a team, you can build your team again to highlight your strengths and as well kind of fill the gap of your weaknesses. And so this idea of self-awareness just doesn't come from the Myers-Briggs. You're also going to be able to do, I believe a strengths assessment, and maybe even a DISC assessment. But all of these assessments, all of the things that we have you do within this program really is about better understanding of who you are and how you can perform at your best. So again, you're going to discover differences in people concerning energy source, how we gather information, how we make decisions, and how we conduct our life, right? What's the typical lifestyle that we like to use? We're going to definitely develop an appreciation for individuals' gifts and strengths. So again, introspective, looking at self, but also looking at the people around you, the people that you're going to be leading, the people that you're going to be working with. And so the MBTI is going to give you an opportunity to really appreciate others for who they are. You're going to learn how to capitalize on yours and others' strengths to enhance your team's performance. As well, you're going to be able to identify areas of opportunities for personal or professional development. Okay. After exploring the MBTI, after you've taken it and looked through it and gone through maybe a coaching session, but even just exploring it on your own, you're going to be able to describe the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, describe the characteristics of your own MBTI type, explain the differences between your type and other MBTI types, and then explore how the MBTI can be used in a work team environment, and even for career development. So for you, or for some of you, you may be looking to do the MBTI. You may be in this program solely based to lead, solely based to enhance your skills, enhance your understanding, so you can be promoted. For some of you, it could be you're looking to do a career change. The Myers-Briggs is a great resource to better understand who you are, what potential career opportunities you have, and how people who are similar to you have been successful in those. And so it's a great career resource. The MBTI is a self-reporting instrument. The MBTI does not tell you who you are. You tell you who you are, right? You are the one that's answering the questions, that's filling out the assessment. And so this is who you are. This is who you believe you are. This is your reporting is going to be about the way you answered the questions to the assessment, and what that results in. One of the things I will challenge you to and warn you against is I challenge you to take this extremely seriously. Use your time to take this assessment wisely. And I would warn you, don't rush through it, right? Think about things naturally. When you come to a question, make sure you make the best choice that you feel is suited for you, okay? So take your time on this assessment. Don't rush through this. This is not something you should rush through, okay? The other thing that the MBTI, it's not judgmental. When we start to look at the dichotomies, extrovert versus introvert, thinking versus feeling, there is no good or bad. There only is. And so there's no judgment. I hear students all the time tell me, gosh, I wish I was more this, or, oh, I wish I was more that. Well, you're not. You are who you are. And so, again, no judgment, okay? It's an indicator of preferences, how you naturally react. Again, folding your arms. How do you fold your arms? How do you write your name? There's a couple of little exercises you can do to better understand this idea of natural reaction and indicator preference, okay? Again, it's not, I can only do this, I just prefer to do this, or I prefer to act like this. That's not to say you can't act the other way, but in terms of the report you're going to get, this is just how you prefer, okay? It's a way to sort, not measure, right? Preference scales are not how much you are about something. It's about how well you know your preference. And we'll go through that here later in video too. The other thing I will say, it's well researched and reliable. 93% of people on retest after 4 weeks test the same on at least 3 preferences, and 65% on all 4 preferences. So I have students all the time ask me, should I retake it? No. My quick response to that is no, you don't need to. That's not to say that in your life things won't happen that potentially make you revert back or revert to a different dichotomy. If you're typically an extrovert and you're in a stage of your life that maybe you're introvert, you need that introvert space. Extrovert is still your preference. That's always going to be your go-to, but potentially your introvert, you may use that as your auxiliary dichotomy, and you may need to rely on that for a certain period of time. But in the end, you'll always go back to the extrovert. I use the example of if your dominant hand is your right hand and you break that hand and you can't write with it, a lot of people will revert to potentially using their left hand to write with because they still have to get work done. But as soon as the cast is off, they'll revert right back to their right hand or their dominant hand. And so it's the same thing. You have a dominant dichotomy. It's rich in theory, right? This is something that's been researched over many years, okay? It's professionally interpreted. Again, if you choose to do an interpretation, an individual interpretation, I'm a coach, I'm an MBTI coach, so not only are your results interpreted through the Myers-Briggs professionally, but you can also be coached from a professional point of view. And then it's used internationally. It takes culture into account. This is a global tool that's used on a daily basis with Fortune 500 companies, with companies around the world. A little bit of background and history of the MBTI. So the background is it's based on Swiss psychologist Carl Jung's type theory. So he worked on type theory as behavior is individual and predictable. So he went through this research and brought about these thoughts about, okay, people are individuals, people act different ways, people act uniquely. And so he started to create these type ideas where this type of person acts this way, this type of person acts this way. Really didn't do much with it. It wasn't until later on, 1940s, a mother-daughter team of psychologists, Catherine Briggs and Isabel Myers, took what they were working on. At that time, they were also working on type theory, and then they explored more of what Jung was doing in his day. They took that on and they created this tool. They felt like it's important for people to know who they are and what they bring to the table, and so they worked as a team to create this assessment tool, and it's based on 40 years of research. It is the most widely used personality indicator in the world, and approximately 1 to 3 million people are administered the MBTI each year. Okay. This is what I was talking about when it comes to preference. Think about, again, signing your name, and then, so try this, sign your name with your dominant hand, whatever it's right or left, and then go and try and sign your name with your opposite hand and feel which feels more naturally, which is more clumsy. Again, it's the same thing with these dichotomies, these type dichotomies. Using one is going to feel much more natural to you than using the other. Like I said, it doesn't mean you can't sign your name with your left hand. It's just a little bit more of a struggle, or your non-dominant hand. I'm sorry, I'm right-handed. But it's going to feel like a little bit more of a struggle. And so with that, you really need to more lean into your dominant characteristic, your dominant trait. Okay. Let's look at preference scales. So these are you're going to get a report, and I'll show you what that looks like in video too, but you're going to get a report here. And it's going to look somewhat like this without the extra wording. You're going to have extroversion, introversion, sensing, intuition, thinking, feeling, and judgment and perception. Your sensing, intuition, thinking, feeling, those are your perceiving and judging dichotomies. We call them, they are the heart of type. Those four, depending on what you are, those four are who you are and why you want to work. Those are kind of your key, I'll call them your key dichotomies, right? Typically, not typically, always one will be either dominant or auxiliary, depending on the other outlying traits, or they're not traits, I'm sorry, the outlying dichotomies. So judgment and perception and extroversion and introversion, depending on where you are on those scales, will lead you to either have a dominant sensing, dominant intuition, dominant thinking, dominant feeling, or a auxiliary sensing, auxiliary intuition, auxiliary thinking, and auxiliary feeling. Again, this heart of type is who you are, how you take in information, how you make decisions. Okay? What your report is going to look like is this. This is what your report is going to look like. You're going to get an MBTI output, and it's going to look something like this. It's going to be multiple pages, but this is kind of the preference scale. We call it the PCI scale, the Preferred Clarity Index. From this one, you can see this person is an ENFJ. They have a 22 PCI for extroversion. That just basically, it doesn't mean they're more extroverted it just means they clearly know that they are extroverted. They have a slight intuition, and so that doesn't mean they're not an N. What it means is they just, maybe they're just not as clear. When they answered the questions, they didn't clearly answer the questions on that dichotomy. The next one on feeling, again, they're very slight on feeling. Now, does that mean they're a T? No. What that means is, again, they just don't necessarily fully understand their feeling, right? They may need to lean more into that. And then their judging, they are clear on their judging. This means the Preference Clarity Index scale is so high that they answered those questions with a firm understanding of those questions that they are judging. Okay, so this is what that looks like. This is the report you're going to get. So that is the end of video 1. And what I'll do is I'll come back with another video and really explain what each of these dichotomies means. And then you can then explore your MBTI or if you choose to, again, conduct a one-on-one session. Have a great day. We will talk to you later.